because you want to, but you have to. Be bold and no time to be bashful. Grab life by the horns like a natural. Be sharp, be quick, and be agile. Never ever.
Hello team, Sam here. In this footage, I was trying out Pokemon Unite for the first time. I had only played a few matches up to this point, decided to try out Venusaur. In some previous MOBAs that I've tried before, primarily on mobile, I found that I like the Mage and Archer classes, so I figured I'd try out a ranged attacker Pokemon. Let me just say here real quick, this music in the battle prep screen is pretty good. Like, it definitely has that epic anime sound to it. So in this video we'll only be watching a single match of mine, and I'll be doing a running commentary over it. Interesting thing I found is loading times seem to run a little slow at times, especially if you're not using an Ethernet. A distinction between your usual MOBA and Pokemon Unite is that it only runs on a 2-lane system. So instead of the map having top, middle, and bottom, you only have the top and bottom lanes, and then the jungle, which stays consistent with other MOBAs. So in the early game, you generally want to farm up as much experience points as you can on NPC Pokemon. In this case, doing so not only gives you experience points, but also adds points just above that Pokeball symbol, the bottom middle. And since the primary objective of the game is not to score kills and destroy a core, you actually want to stock up as many points as you can, and then score them, like so. It creates a nice ebb and flow in gameplay, in my opinion, because most MOBAs tend to fall into the same routine of farming early game, powering up, taking part in little team battles here and there, and then ramping up to one big team fight at the end, where the team that's ahead tries to push into the other team's base. But in this game, you get 5 different scoring points on the map, where you can bank the points that you've gathered up. Definitely encourages a more back and forth gameplay that keeps the game feeling close, regardless of which team actually has the momentum. I actually really like that. Keeps you engaged throughout the whole match, without feeling like you're getting just obliterated. The game itself also incentivizes teamwork, using things like Unite moves, which are basically your ultimates, and how they synergize when 2 players use Unite moves within close proximity to each other. Also, because the objective is to score the points that you built up, you generally want to work together to do things like help someone with a maximum stocked points for their level push in towards one of the hoops and then dunk them in. And you can see how many points your allies have right above their character model, which makes it very convenient to kind of assess the situation and know who you need to assist. Being a MOBA, skills are single button press. You start off with only 2 skills instead of the usual MOBA's 3 or 4. However, as you level up, and if your Pokemon does evolve, as you evolve, you'll be able to switch out those skills for newer, better ones. And each time you do, that skill has 2 different branches it can go in. This allows for a lot of customizability and player expression, as well as build variety between your held items, which you get to pick 1 to 3 depending on your level with that Pokemon. And by level I mean player level, how much you've used that Pokemon, as opposed to your level within a single match. Being able to combine 1 to 3 held items, 1 battle item, which is your usable item in the bottom center, unfortunately covered by my logo in this footage. And it goes down on a cooldown every time you use it, so you can use your battle item multiple times per game. But there's just a lot of player freedom, honestly, and room for expression without execution getting in the way. That said, there is a measure of execution, such as aiming your shots there, like that Solar Beam, which allows you to do some pretty cool stuff like picking off weakened enemies from downtown, which I absolutely love doing with Venusaur. Overall, it's good fun, and the game timer is set to 10 minutes on your default mode, which keeps matches shorter than most MOBAs as well. The later you get into the game, the longer your respawn timer upon getting KO'd, which adds more risk later on and some importance on powering yourself up and staying alive, which in and of itself rewards having good decision making and a smart defense and positioning and other such mental aspects of the game. And then of course, like most MOBAs, the grass hides your position to all enemies, both visually and on the map. Okay. At different intervals during the match, NPC Pokemon of varying strengths will spawn at different points on the map. Of course, the stronger the NPC Pokemon, the more experience points it gives you. And if I understand correctly, your level in an individual match caps off at about 15.
Let's go.
Now, in this situation, I didn't quite know that I wasn't really supposed to be spending much time in what is essentially the jungle area. But I was looking for an extra level there. So, like I said, this was my first time playing with Venusaur. And since then, I've really gotten a lot better at both playing the game and understanding fundamentals of the MOBA genre as applied to this game. Overall, it's a really good time, though. I think they found a nice balance between letting individual players have a big part in whether the team wins or loses, and incentivizing teamwork and playing well with others, because one player really can't defeat an entire team of 5. They can have a huge part in why that happens if there's a big skill discrepancy between them and, say, the majority of the other team, but overall it's a really fun game, I would say. Definitely one of the easier MOBAs to get into, but it has no absence of depth. That makes it a really good package, in my opinion. I understand there's some discussion going around the internet about whether or not the game is pay to win, because the held items can be upgraded using currency obtained in-game and through microtransactions. I would say the percentage increases for the stat-based held items is pretty negligible. I think a few percent really won't make or break a match, especially when you have to apply skill for both the player using the held item and, you know, playing against the other players. I do not think that there will ever be a point where the held items, when upgraded, can make a poorly skilled player able to beat a decent or highly skilled player. Just the effect is not great enough to really consist a pay-to-win system. I would say it's pay for a slight boost earlier, but everything that you could do with money you can also do in-game after just playing for a while. And after my first 3 days of playing, I have 6 playable Pokemon. You only need 5 to be able to play ranked mode. And then I got a costume for Venusaur, and I've almost unlocked Crustle, so 7th Pokemon, and I've gotten 2 of the held items up to level 10, which is halfway to maximum increase. So honestly, I think if you just play, your items will kind of gradually level up in keeping with your rank. So by the time you get to the high ranks, you'll most likely have some maxed out held items, as will everyone else around you, and it kind of levels out. So I don't think it's really a big deal like, say, an MMORPG, where the stats are everything, and huge numbers just give you such a huge advantage over other players who don't have it. So it still is very based on skill compared to just the numbers of the upgraded held items. In conclusion, I'd say Pokemon Unite is a really fun game, really good MOBA to get into, even if you're not familiar with the genre. Fun to play on the Switch with friends and by yourself, and it's coming out on mobile later this year. I recommend checking it out.
Come around, we get down with the sound, cause you can't keep a good kid down. Through the fire, the turmoil, the trouble, I've climbed to the highest of heights, came through the rubble, and I didn't have the slightest idea of who to